one question is on core. And of course, as a marketer, there's always this big challenge. I have the core and I have extensions. And generally marketers, we find it so much easier to innovate on extensions, which are not part of the core, than trying to keep your core update relevant and appealing. So what's your point of view on that? And for sure, in a world like today, which is pretty fragmented and pretty complex, how do you manage this core and extension challenge?
Actually, very interesting question, Anne. And also from a perspective of the digital world or the e-commerce world, where there is a belief that there is something called an endless aisle or endless shelf, where you can put in as many products as you want. There's a tendency to believe that you can keep expanding your portfolio. But I'm going to raise a red flag on that one from my experience across this ecosystem, that it's actually even more challenging right now, not less challenging. It's even more challenging because you think you can do it, but really you may be frittering away resources. So my learning on this has been, stick to the 80-20 principle. 80% of your investment has to go on the core. You can spend 20% of your investment on extensions. The principle I will use is that the core must constantly keep getting updated, because if you don't spend that 80% of your money on the core, you'll suddenly realize your core is outdated. Yeah, for me, when we were working on Licious, if we want to stand for best-in-class freshness, we have to come up with the latest packaging technology, for example, to deliver freshness. We can't just get excited by some new toy and not bother about this, and somebody in the competitive ecosystem may take charge. So I would say, keep your eyes on the core at all points of time. The second part is, for your extensions, they must become self-funding in a certain time frame. What I mean by self-funding is, when you launch something new, can you take monies from a central kitty and invest behind it? The answer is yes, of course. It's like a little baby. But there must be a path to where it will not feed off the core, but be able to drive its own success. I think that's the watch out that we must always maintain. Now I want to use the digital example, and why I said that even in a digital endless aisle world, this is important. Let me use an example of, let's say, a hair care category, and you're selling on Amazon. If you have a search term saying shampoo, yeah, and you have a portfolio of shampoos which have 10 variants, when you type the word shampoo, which variant of your shampoo is going to show up front? That's a call you will need to make. And the call will have to get made on the core. So out of your 10 variants, even if you're launching variant number 11 and 12 and 13, when you type shampoo, it will have to show up your variant number 1, because that is your core. So there are those choices that you will make. Of course, if someone says shampoo for dry hair and that's the variant you're going to launch, will you use that? The answer is yes. So there will be a lot of such investment choices. And the word that we use in the industry is called hero products. So your hero products are the ones that will put on social media, you will drive traffic to them, you will drive traffic to those on e-commerce and marketplaces. So it's very important that you keep that perspective in mind. The final thing I would also call out is, while you didn't ask me that specifically, Anne, is I think as you think of extensions, I think there's a core, which is, let's imagine concentric circles. Yeah, so there's a core, there are extensions outside, but also draw a hard line on what is outer scope for your brand. What are those things that you will not expand into because they don't fit with your brand and they will distract? So for example, using the Licious story, because we stand for fresh meat, there are certain products which are available only in frozen form. But we said we will not offer those frozen products because it will compromise our core. Will we get maybe a 5% or a 10% incremental revenue in the short term from that product range? The answer is yes. But you will leave your consumers a bit confused and diffused about your hardcore proposition on freshness. So these are often tough choices because the low-hanging revenue or low-hanging success may tempt you, but I would say resist that temptation.